Good morning. It's Thursday, March 20th. And as usual, I'm here to tell you some things about Donald Trump that will probably upset many of you. But Donald Trump is not the brightest guy in the world. And he's proven that once again because he's been talking to Vladimir Putin and he is telling the world that Putin is doing wonderful things and that Putin has told him that he's not going to attack the Ukraine in any manner that destroys public buildings and things like that. And Trump said Putin agreed to halt attacks on the infrastructure of the Ukraine. But no sooner than those words come out of Trump's mouth than Russia strikes a Ukraine hospital. Right? A hospital. Russia launched a series of drone strikes that struck civilian areas overnight and damaged its hospital. And that's after Trump and Putin had their infamous phone call. And that's after the Russian leader refused to back a full 30-day ceasefire. So Putin is playing this game. Yes, let's have a ceasefire and then he attacks immediately. Trump said that Putin agreed in that call that he was going to immediately halt the attack on all energy and all infrastructure. Well, let me tell you something. Words mean different things to different people. So what's energy? What's infrastructure? Is he going to stop knocking down lampposts or damaging fire hydrants? What does the word infrastructure mean? It's whatever you think it means. So Ukrainian President Zelensky said on Wednesday that Russia's attacks continued to hit his country's civilian population and the country's infrastructure, energy infrastructure. And that's in spite of the fact that Putin agreed with Mr. Trump. He gave Trump his word. Has Donald Trump learned anything about people's words? He should know. He's one of those people who uses words and then somehow or other they're deflected in different directions. Zelensky was told by Trump that Moscow is going to halt all strikes on all energy and infrastructure. But on Wednesday, Zelensky told everybody that Russia's attacks continue to hit his country's civilian population and the energy infrastructure. And that is in spite of Putin's supposed agreement with Mr. Trump. Zelensky said Moscow's refusal to halt all strikes proved the need for increased pressure on Moscow to prevent Putin from prolonging the war. Zelensky went on to say this confirms that we must continue to pressure Russia for the sake of peace. Only a real halt to Russia's attacks on civilian infrastructure can signal a genuine desire to end the war and bring peace closer to us all. That's what Zelensky was saying. That's what he was telling the world. And in my mind, Zelensky is probably telling the truth as to what Trump thinks that Putin is saying. They missed the boat, and they were hoping that there would be a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea, and eventually a full and lasting end to the fighting. But there was no indication from Mr. Trump that he had backed away from his conditions for a prospective peace deal. He's not prepared for peace. And his peace deal was fiercely opposed by Kiev. According to the Russian government's readout of the phone call, Putin reiterated that for a full ceasefire, Moscow would require a complete cutoff of all military aid and intelligence support for Kiev from the U.S. and its Western partners. Now, those terms were never mentioned by Trump or anybody else in the White House on Tuesday. So somebody's got their signals crossed, because I don't believe that Putin has any idea of what peace really means at this point. And Zelensky agreed with me. He said they shouldn't make any concessions in terms of assistance for Ukraine. What really should happen is real assistance for Ukraine. Not some phony pie-in-the-sky talk. Real physical assistance for Ukraine. That might help end this war instead of talk, instead of other BS that is going on. And what is being totally ignored are the lies that Putin has continued to throw out in space, and then his actions, which nobody seems to be taking into account. So it's clear to me that this situation cannot be settled until the two parties sit together in a room and decide what peace really means for both of them and what each region is entitled to. But in my mind, as I see it right now, it's a long way off before this will be settled, because we have unreasonable expectations on both sides of the aisle. But my view of this situation is that the Ukraine is in the right. So I leave you with that this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you.